Hello, welcome to another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. Ryan, how are you today?
Wonderful. Always wonderful.
I'm doing wonderful, too.
Well, that's good.
And we got two special guests with our Farm Legacy series and the longtime friends in the podcast room with us, Charlie and Ed Sanders.
How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Well, I'm going to ruin it right quickly because we start off with the question of the day.
This is a horrible question.
And it is a bad question. And Charlie, we'll work. You'll get to go first. So tell us tell us the dumbest thing that you've ever procrastinated on and why.
Well, I guess I got to clarify. What do you mean by dumb, Sal?
Well,
I mean, is it dumb in other people's opinions or minds, or is this mine?
I guess it'd have to be somebody else's, right? Because if you're procrastinating, then
No, I would say it'd be in your own mind.
In your
but that's
own?
just, yeah.
Procrastination, like I said, is a way of life for me. It's a personal thing, and business wise, I don't procrastinate at all.
No.
But personally, it's just like haircuts and going to the doctors, and I just put it off. And one of the things that I truly, and this is probably dumb, just because of a enjoyment of life type thing, but one of my true loves of life is playing golf.
Yeah.
And I have. Since I've got back to the farm and got into farming, I have not played golf in
I have
over a
never
decade.
seen you
Yeah.
even talk about golf.
Yeah.
I did not know
So
that.
that's a good answer.
Yeah,
That is a really good answer.
And I should. I just, and every year it's like, I'm going to just grab the bag and go and hit a couple balls, and I never do. I just procrastinate, and something else comes up and put other people ahead of me as far as family goes and needs and so forth. But I got to get out there and do it. I used to, I was in a league. I played every week and was actually doing pretty good. But
Did not know that.
I have not swung a club in probably 15 years.
We'll have to get you up
Wow.
at Greensburg. I think we got a
Yeah.
golf outing this year.
There you go.
Put it on your calendar, and we'll make you go.
It'll make you go.
There you go.
Can I operate the beer cart?
we get a lot of volunteers for that.
Because I don't think swinging golf clubs in my mental anymore. I used to a long time ago. My first father-in-law was a big golfer and flew me all over the country. And I think most of those real expensive courses paid him to not let me play.
Yeah.
Come back.
There you go.
Yeah. I think they
Don't bring that one back.
Yeah, I think they thought I was a caterpillar just digging.
It happens.
Oh yeah,
Excavation crew, huh?
yes sir.
Well,
Yes,
Ed,
sir.
what is your you don't procrastinate on too much though, do you?
I don't procrastinate on much at all, but again, mine's probably more work related. The dumbest thing, and we do it on a daily basis, almost every day it seems like. But when do you sell grain?
Oh,
Because you'll sit there and you'll hold off for that 2 more cents, and then you'll watch it go down 20.
yeah.
And it just seems so dumb. You're holding for 2 cents to lose 20 to 40 cents. And to me, that's just dumb. Why didn't you just sell yours 2 cents to where you wanted to be? Nope. Got to get that.
We talk about that on our podcast
We do.
with Aaron in here about just setting targets, and that way you don't have to worry about it.
Well, yeah, but again, I think all of us want $5 corn.
Yeah, well, gosh, yeah.
And so it gets to $4.98, and got to have $5 corn. Then it goes down to $4.50.
Yeah.
And you're like, how dumb can you be? 2 cents. That would be to me the dumbest.
Ryan, what's yours? Or should we just ask your wife?
At all.
Should we just ask your wife?
Well, and so I'm not a procrastinator, so to speak. I mean, I really do I just get into things. I usually look back and see what I've done wrong because it didn't take time to think about it. So I would guess I'm not real good at this, but procrastination, I haven't spent a lot of time enjoying personal time. I mean, my kids got growing and we didn't do a whole lot of things other than work and sort of keep on that. So now at this later stage in life, though, I had put off some of those things, not necessarily golf. My son golfs all the time but just fishing and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's hadn't made a priority out of those non-work related items. And so yeah, it's dumb because I didn't add any days to the end.
No.
So
Tick, tick, tick.
so, yeah, for sure. So
No, I could obviously say like fishing or hunting and stuff. And I never procrastinate my haircuts. I got to get those. But I don't wake up looking like this, Ryan. I got to put some work in on
I
it.
get it. I get it. I
I mean, you're not always this pretty.
No, I got to work on it. I mean,
I think it's a shot to me, but the other day one of our employees had a really nice haircut, really nice short haircut, and he said, "Wow, you look so much more professional." Which I don't hear that. I don't hear that a lot from him. So
I think one of the things I do on a daily basis is email. I mean, I just get so many emails. I think we all do, and I think my coworkers and stuff know to send me a text if it's got to have a quick response. But I just can't stand going through email. I don't feel like I do anything. It just seems like I'm not very productive. So I'll procrastinate on email.
yep, I get it. A lot of my emails start with "Sorry for the delay."
Yes. Hope you're well.
After a
Hope
while,
this email finds you well.
That becomes pretty telling after about 10 of those in a row. You're like, that's probably on me. So, all right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. And our Farm Legacy series is a way that we like to shine a light on our customers and members. And obviously, with being such a small percentage of the populace anymore, it's important that you guys tell your story. And we hope that this is a good avenue to get that story out there and say, here's what we do, here's why we do it, here's how others benefit from it and what we do well. So let's just start this off with, what year did your farm start and who started it?
Well, our father started farming. He actually came back from Michigan. He was born and raised in Scottsburg, Indiana, as well as there's 4 of us children. We got 2 sisters that are older than me and my brother, and then me and my brother. And my mom and the 2 sisters were born in Detroit. My dad and both us boys were born in Scottsburg, Indiana.
Oh, wow.
But my dad, him and his mom and dad moved when he was probably, I'm gonna say, 12 to 13 years old. They moved to Detroit, Michigan, and that's where him and my mother met. And they actually started dating when they were basically, or going together, as you want to call it, as kids, in the 7th grade. And they stayed together their whole life till she passed away in 2011. But they actually moved back. They had the 2 girls in Michigan, and they moved back and started farming in 1960.
Wow. Very good. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Did not know that. The story, I guess your all story about when did you all end up or come back to the farm? Would tell me, I guess, both of your all's paths on how you got here today. And
There's 2 separate paths there
Yes.
for sure. I when I got out of high school, I went to college and chose a career in the ag industry and was working in the supplier manufacturer rep industry. And
which company?
I was working at the time. It was ICI, which turned to
ICI.
Zeneca, and which now is Syngenta. And I was in Northeast Indiana, up in the Fort Wayne area, at 13 counties, and that was about the time the SEBA GAGI and the merger all went through, and there was a lot of redundancies and so forth, and the field kind of shrank.
Yep.
And at that time, I chose a different path to be with the mother of my 2 boys, and ended up in Michigan, of all places. Talking about mom and dad,
Yeah.
Growing up in Michigan, and I ended up back in the Detroit area, and chose a path in the home improvement industry, and was there for almost 13 years. And in 2011, 2010, mom got sick and passed away in 2011, and of course the recession at that point it was going rampant, and
Sure.
the Detroit area was even worse. So, and then the home remodeling industry was falling apart up there. So I was coming back and helping on the farm, and moved back in 2012, and started farming with Dad and Ed at the time, and then Dad retired in 2015, and that's when Ed and I took over the farming operation.
Okay.
Mine's pretty simple. I've been working on the farm since I was just a little kid. I started probably when I was 6 driving tractors, and never looked back. I actually, my whole high school life, I went to school at 7:30 in the morning till 10:30 in the morning, came home and farmed the rest of the day, and been there my whole life.
That would be a bad gig.
Well,
That would be about the right mix.
How do you get that?
You say that, but the problem with it is you miss out on a lot. Just like you talking about
That's
working
right.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go to ball games, didn't go to this, didn't go to that. All I did was farm. Don't regret it. Enjoy what I do. I love what I do, but I do encourage any youth that is going forward, make sure you go to your school.
Get involved.
Get
Yeah,
involved,
get
but go to
involved.
school. That's time you can't buy it back.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go to school the second time. Well, maybe in the near future you can. I don't know. That's the country we're kind of living in. Go, hey, let's go to school when you're 50.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either,
I wouldn't.
but nothing would surprise me anymore. But yeah, I've been on the farm since I was just a young man, a young kid, and been there, my whole life. I'm 61 now, getting ready to turn 62, and enjoy what I do.
We're definitely going to put some pictures up of the farmstead because it is a beautiful, beautiful farm. I used to don't get things I procrastinate on. Don't get over there as often as I like, but I always remember just pulling in the driveway. It just felt like the stress just dropped off with the big lake right along the.
You should have had to do the bills. Or sell corn. Sell corn.
It might look pretty, but I think all we do is mow and clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the way our mom and dad was. I mean, everything had to be kept nice, and we still do it the same way today.
Yeah.
So Sanders Farm Service. So there's a business component and a farm component. So tell us kind of the separation between the two business units, I guess, the farm and the business.
Well, Dad started the Sanders Farm Service back in the late '60s, and he actually started back then with Stauffer and Larry Hoffmar back then.
Fresh out of college.
Yeah, them goes,
Legend.
and then we just kind of, so that's how it started. And he basically started it trying to get a way to get his own inputs cheaper.
Yeah.
And then also providing, a service to our local community and stuff. And so we've been involved, as Sanders Farm Service for pretty near 60 years now.
Wow.
Fertilizing, chemical,
Fertilizer, chemical, and seed.
and seed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Very good. So, as members of Premier, how long have you been a member of Premier, and why is a cooperative important to you? Let's go down that path for a little bit. And if it's not, well,
Yeah, we'll cut that out. We'll see how this goes.
Of course, when we started our portion of it, the legacy, the continuation of it, there was a lot of things that, when we give all the respect in the world to our dad and what he did and what he built, and an amazing man in a lot of ways, but he was a creature of habit and was still doing a lot of what he did, 20 years prior or more. And so when he retired in 15, we kind of started looking at, okay, what is important to us? And truthfully, farming was the important part of it. The business side of it, it was never a profit center. It was again, it was an opportunity
More of a service.
to get your inputs a little cheaper and to provide a service to the community and the farmers and so forth. And so we were like, well, if farming's important to us, how can we make it better? And I'll be honest with you. One of the things, I'm not a student of leadership or a student of entrepreneurism or anything, but most of the people that I see out there that are successful surround themselves with individuals who can help and who are smart and who have knowledge in areas where maybe you lack or I lack. And so Premier, obviously the first thing we thought of was, well, we need to know what our soils are like. Dad was not a big opportunist as far as trying to soil sample and keep the fertilities in the lime and so forth. He did it on a broad scale basis, but we decided, you know what, we're going to get a lot smarter at this, and so we reached out to Sal and to Larry and individuals in the industry, and that's where we kind of came into our relationship with Premier and the Tracks program at that time, and that was really what got us rolling on that, and that led down to the energies, the fuels, and the propanes, and also the agronomic part of it, the inputs, the chemicals, and so forth. So that's kind of how we got in with Premier.
Well, and then also I think, because we had such a broad history with you and with
Yeah.
Larry and so many people in Premier, it made it an easy choice for us because we were already dealing with people we've known for years.
Yeah.
And being that we were already in the retail sales, we had been involved with a couple other companies and had a few little problems that we weren't all that happy with. And so we sat down again with Sal and a couple other involved in that, and made the ultimate choice to switch over. And for us, I think it was by far the best choices we've made in a long time, because what it did for us, like Charlie just said, it opened up avenues to where we could get into this program and that program, and it made us have the ability to spend more time farming, but still provide the service that we provide to our customers. Sure. And so that was great. And the nice thing is, again, and I've said this from the get-go, I don't care if you're a young farmer or an old farmer, there's one thing we all live by, and that's trust.
Yep.
If you trust the people you're surrounded with, then you don't have the worries and the problems, and you don't look at, okay, they're 5 cents cheaper over here, because you know who you're with is going to stay with you. And that's the one thing I'll say about Premier that we have really grown to love, is the fact that no matter what, I feel like I've always had this ace in my back pocket to take care of us if we needed it.
Yep. And we will step in it sometimes. I think we kind of stepped in it there a week ago, but we'll fix it. So
yeah, I got to go by the office that they were in, like, hey guys, and then I'll see you next week.
So how do you all, I mean, it seems, and thank you for the kind words of Premier Ag and myself, but how do you all work together? It seems like you guys are natural. It just, you're both definitely your own personalities, but it just seems like you guys just fit.
Well,
I mean, me and my brother probably wouldn't be that comfortable in a business together.
Again, Charlie's been 8 years younger than me. So when I was young, I mean, it was almost like I was, his protector, somewhat, so to speak. But I think the big thing for Charlie and myself is the fact that we both have strengths in different avenues. Charlie, I'll be just brutally right up front. Charlie's the smart one. I'm not the smart one. Charlie, he's very technically smart, and he can tell me things that I don't know about the technical side of it, and his talk me into them when I really didn't want to, because I'm just not the tech guy, But I think that's where our situation works so well, is because we both have our own strengths, and me, I'm just feet on the ground kind of guy. I love challenges. There's nothing that I don't feel like that I can't do, and I've always been one of the people that just tell me I can't and I will, and so. So it's that's where it becomes really nice with Charlie, because when it comes to tech side, I'm like, but he's really good at it. But and we're both really just low keyed. Yeah. Neither one of us, again, loved my dad to death, and but he was very high strung, and I'm high strung, but not in that kind of manner. I just want to go all the time. Our dad was just very high strung, and so he kind of let things just mount up. Where Charlie, it is what it is. If 16 hours a day working isn't enough, guess what? I'll go again tomorrow.
Yeah. There you go.
Our whole life is, there's been a friendship component to our relationship. And at times it was really strong. When I've went through some hard times in life, my best friend was there to help me. And when the opportunity came to come back and go and work and try to build this together, it was really a no-brainer. I have all the admiration in the world for his accomplishments and credit where credit is due, and talent. There's, from an operations standpoint, and there's really very few people out there that can just jump in something and go. And the learning curve is so short.
Yeah.
When it comes to what he can do, and there again, and I guess he feels that way about me with the technical side of it. I'm not afraid to just jump in and say, okay, we're going to go down this road on mapping, and we're going to integrate shutoffs into our systems, our planners, and it's going to improve. It's going to do these benefits, and the thing that I think that really complements us as a team is that we both have strengths in separate fields, yet we both can manage and work. I can get into the operations, not at the level, not at the efficiency, but I can get into the operations of things, and he can get into the technical part of things, and a lot of it is just thinking outside the box, and sometimes you got that forest right in front of you. And
Sure. I've seen that one.
And
sometimes it hits like a ball bat, don't it?
Yeah. And then Ed will say, well, what about this? And be like, well, you're right.
And again, communication,
And-
and
and
that's the
it's-
key. And I mean, when Charlie came back, I mean, I told him, of course, we've said it our whole lives, which we've always been very good. It's about communication, good, bad, or indifferent. And again, I think Sal can remember one of the first conversations with him was, it's all about communication. Tell me the bad, I can handle the bad. Just tell it to me.
Last week, Brian.
There you go. Last week. But
We can
don't,
handle that.
But don't beat around it. Just tell me.
Right.
I can handle it. Just put it out there.
So are you the only two in the operation? Or are there others?
Not just us two.
Just the two?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think the farm will look like in 5 years or 10 years?
Well, that we can't answer that. Let's have another one of these in 5 or 10
That's
years.
right.
I'll tell you. There's a lot to that.
Oh, we'll be big by then. We'll be international.
There we go. Yeah, they'll say, whatever you do, don't put them back on the radio again.
Well, hey, and I did want to stop you this for a minute and made a note that we need a smart one.
That's right.
They said that was the key to their success is having a smart one. I'm thinking that's probably where we're struggling. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But no, again, it's day by day. That's all I can say. We're in an area down there where we farm. Louisville's growing out very fast. There's been in the last 2 years, there's been at least a half a dozen farms. Luckily for us, none of ours that we farm that have sold and went into housing.
Yeah.
So it's coming around us very rampant, and I can't tell you what it's going to be like in 5 years from now. I mean, we might lose half of our ground. You don't know.
Yeah.
It's that urban sprawl or whatever the right terminology is, and now we're finding we actually had a discussion in another Farm Legacy series just about the renewable energy taking solar panel fields, and that takes ground out of production that people don't. On one hand, they think renewable energy good, but food's good too. So it seems like it shouldn't be a one or the other.
Well, so you've alluded to it just now, but one of the questions we like to ask is, what do you think the biggest obstacle coming for agriculture is? And I'll just leave it to you. I think you just alluded to a piece of it, maybe for personal, but on a broad spectrum, what do you think some of the biggest obstacles are?
Well, again, I think, and me and Charlie talk about this on a daily basis. I think the biggest obstacles right now going forward is where do we go from here as far as our inputs versus our in price on our products that we're making, and right now they're not in a good place. And when you're sitting here and you're looking at your inputs, and yes, they've came down 20% or so, not all of them, but some of them. But yet, grain from last year is down almost 45%.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're digging a sideways hole, and I think you're going to see this real strong in the industry over the next couple of years. We've had some really good years for the last 4 or 5 years as far as production, and prior to the pandemic, you were doing really well on your commodities, and yes, we got up to $6 corn in 22, but guess what our inputs did?
Sure.
They went up triple.
Sure.
And so I think going forward, that's the biggest obstacles we have is how do you make the call to sell, to not sell, to where are you going to find that fine line that's going to give you the edge to be able to survive where we're at right now and where it's going, which nobody knows.
Yeah.
So would you just call that an opportunity as well? I mean, I'll flip that back to you and say, what's your biggest opportunity?
And that is your biggest opportunity, is trying to find that path. Again, there's so many avenues, and of course we have kind of got ourselves tied into the bourbon industry on our corn, and so there's some opportunities there to make a higher premium on your grain crop. But you got to do certain things to do that. But
Sure.
but it's definitely well worth it. And trying to find those avenues that you can squeeze out another 25 to 50 cents a bushel on corn. And so I think that's just the kind of opportunities you're gonna have to try to look for.
That kind of fits with kind of the next question is what kind of sustainable practices, and you're tied in with the bourbon industry, which wants a quality product produced in a sustainable manner. So as far as sustainability, when we think about soil conservation and things like that, you all farm in some rolling, a lot of different areas.
We've been in a highly erodible area. I mean, it's been a way of life there, no-till farming and trying to sustain the ground and keep things from just washing away. So we've been doing that for 20
Decades.
20 plus
Yeah,
years.
one of the first no-tillers.
Yeah, and it's there's so many other things that are coming down the pipeline. We're talking about challenges that we may not even see out there, and I think from a sustainability standpoint, that's where we need to really focus on where is this industry going. We get feedback from the carbon industry and from the just lost my train of thought.
Well, just the folks that are wanting to know how you farm.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Well, they're wanting to know how we farm, but they're also wanting to know, okay, why are you killing all of our bugs?
Yeah.
So you can just mount the whole list of things, up.
Yeah.
I was at a customer meeting yesterday, and it was brought up to me. You guys have this platform to talk about agriculture and get out and be advocates for agriculture, and this renewable energy that we continue to talk about. The negativity comes from that use of land and that inability to ever get that land back. It seems like that once it's gone, obviously it's gone, and so we sort of take this negative tint or get that. We sort of give that reputation of we're against this, but renewable fuels from either biodiesel or ethanol, those kind of things, we're proponents of. We're good with that, and that's an understanding that there is carbon capture from those plants that are out there growing, and then that grain then becomes a renewable fuel, and then we're going to plant that crop again and continually use that, and it doesn't destroy the ground, and that ground's better and can be improved. So we don't want to be looked at as, oh, you guys are against renewables, because we absolutely are not.
We're for them. If anything, we're for them.
Land use, absolutely. Land use is what we're worried about.
Well, right. And again, it's just like, a couple of our farms that we farm has actually signed up for, this renewable energy, solar. And now here's what I'll say about that. One of the landowners said that if there's 15 little hoops to jump through right now, they're through number one. So it's going to be some time on down the road. The only thing I will add to that is, and of course you all probably don't know much about this because you're not in our area, but many years ago, they tried to do a nuclear plant there in northern Clark County.
Marble Hill.
Marble Hill, exactly correct. Spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and guess what? It didn't make it. And my big fear with this solar thing in our particular area, how many days of sunshine have we had in the last month?
oh my gosh.
Not many. And so at what point, let's just say that you have a 100-acre farm and you put solar panels on it and they're paying you, $1,000 an acre. That's great, fine and dandy. But 10 years down the road, they didn't make enough energy to make it a component that is workable. I know they said that they're going to clean it up, but when they go bankrupt, is that going to happen?
Right.
So as a landowner, are you going to be sitting there with 100 acres of solar
plastic and
also on top of that, they've now
concrete.
Concrete, but they come to find out that it actually creates radiation.
Yeah.
So now you're not dealing with stuff you can just put in a dumpster. You're gonna have to call a biochemical company to come in and hazmat that.
Yeah.
I think I just got sick. I never even thought about that. It's bad enough the land's out of production, but I never even thought about the Marble Hill power plant where it just sat there.
And it's still sitting there
And it's going to sit there forever.
Hundreds of, millions of dollars, hundreds of millions.
Yeah. And that's why we have to continue to drive that message home that farmers ultimately are the best stewards of the ground that there ever has been, because you're reliant on it to be there 10, 20, 30. You're hoping to pass it on to somebody else and that they can continue to do it.
Yep.
And it's a shame that mindset is, well, they're just against it because they don't want solar panels. Well, that's ridiculous. It's an absolute ridiculous statement.
And there's always exceptions, and there are farmers out there that do that. And we've always prided ourselves on sustainability and leaving things better than when we got there. And obviously, from a long-term standpoint on our way of life, I mean, if you rob from the land, then you don't have very long to go.
Right.
So we've done that. It's been ingrained in our upbringing, and when we talk to landowners, and that's one of the things that they see. These guys are not just out there abusing the land, trying to take a quick dollar. We're investing back into the land as we create a lifestyle and an income from the land.
That's an awesome story.
Great.
I don't know how we can add too much more than that. I know we got some videos already of the farm, And if our listeners, we got listeners listen on the radio, but if you haven't had a chance to watch it on YouTube, we'll be putting in some videos.
Yeah, Farm Legacy Series is one that you want to partake of on YouTube for sure. Most important lesson you guys have learned during your careers, maybe even outside of farming. But we've hit on a lot of important things. You guys have just been a great interview. But
be open for change. It's, and even being invited to podcasts is not the most comfortable thing in the world.
I can tell you work like yourself. I was like, Charlie seems a little preoccupied.
He
with
wanted the
something.
credit as a cameo appearance or an extra. That's what he told me last week. He said, "I'm more so going to be an extra."
I noticed in all the communications, Ed was getting right back with me, and Charlie was not quite so much.
Hoping that the next one would say, "No, it's canceled."
In his defense, though, I've been in this situation for the last 30-some years with another thing that I was involved with. So I'm so used to speaking on a microphone in front of thousands of people at a time. So to me, it's just natural. Where Charlie doesn't get as much of that as I do.
Well, he's a natural. He's doing just fine.
Charlie does a great job. He's just not as used to it as I have been.
Yeah,
but no, things change.
Be open to change.
Be open to change. That's we don't know how tomorrow's going to look. And so we like to lay our heads down and sleep at night, so with a clear conscience, and get up the next day and do it again.
It's awesome.
Well, and that again, you have to accept change, no matter what life changes. I mean, 10 years ago, I could jump out of the back of a pickup. I wouldn't dare do that today. So change. I could, but they would probably take me to the hospital afterwards. But again, I think for Charlie and myself, in the end run, this is the bottom line. This is what I love about Premier. My word is my word. And if I tell somebody that hey, I'm going to do this to your land, this is what I'm going to do, I do it, or we do it. And I think it's very important that people realize that no matter what going forward, whether it be farming or any entity in the world, that you can have all the money in the world, but if your word is nothing, you have nothing. Your word is everything you got. And for us growing up on the farm, and which has been a wonderful life, that's the thing that I think that we try to continue the most.
It's awesome.
Good. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Thank you for being here for another episode of The High Ground and another edition of our Farm Legacy Series.
Thank you for having us.
This has been great.
It's been a pleasure.
Love it.
Been
Love
a
it.
pleasure.
All right. Well, that's another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. Please like and subscribe. Thank you,
Charlie.
Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ed.